Hey everyone, welcome back to the realm. I'm Gina.
I'm Rich.
I'm Jenny.
I'm Rob.
I'm Amy.
I'm Brian.
And we have everybody on tonight minus Kez because we are going to kind of marry an old episode from an investigation that we did last season in the fall with the owner of the property. So before we get going on this, I want to give a little bit of an introduction to our guest. She is someone that's always been interested in the paranormal as a young child. She had her first experience early on, which fueled her passion for the paranormal. And in 2010, she met a group of people that had the same passion as she did. So they formed a team called St. Croix Paranormal. The group has traveled all over the U.S. to well-known haunted locations in search of answers, just like we all do, right? They were once featured on the biography channel's My Ghost Story, and they also produced their own local cable show called Paranormal Patrol. During their travels, she realized that she wanted to have her own haunted location to research and actually allow others to do the same. So in 2018, she was able to fulfill that dream by purchasing the Boyd House in Minnesota. And in 2023, a Masonic Lodge, which is in Illinois. And it has been quite the adventure ever since, she says. So I would like to welcome to the show Jill Shelly, who is the owner of these properties. Welcome, Jill.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, it's been really great to have you here, to discuss this and get you ready and have you here. So first, I want to just talk about the fact that I was not there, but our team has investigated at your location at the Boyd House. So we're really excited to kind of get into it and figure out if things match up. So just to clarify for everybody, before this time, Jill and our team has not discussed any of the evidence that we collected. Nothing has been released to her. It will, after this episode, we'll be releasing it to her. But first, Jill, I'm going to turn it over to you and have you tell us a bit about the Boyd House. We'll start with that.
Yeah, it was built in 1901, but our deed goes back to 1889 when the land was actually owned by the St. Louis Minneapolis Railroad. And then there was a guy who kind of owned the whole town, and then he sold everything off in parcels. So we do have some people names on there. We couldn't find anything significant, but the most prominent family that we found information on started in 1912, and that was Fred and Minnie Eckhart. So they moved in there with their children, and two of their children passed in the home. One was an infant, and then one also choked to death when he was about 2 years of age. And both Fred and Minnie passed away in the home. And Minnie's funeral was held in the home for 3 days as well before they buried her. And they were very well-known business people in town. So they owned a very fancy high-end grocery store. So they sold fruits and nuts and, furs, just kind of the higher end stuff. Very well respected in town. He was the justice of the peace. He was on the fire department, the school board. His brother, his father, they helped build one of the Lutheran churches. So again, a very prominent member of society. So I feel like that's kind of one of the reasons that they do stay around in the house. And also the land itself is butted up. The town was butted up against the Sioux Dakota reservation line. So I'm sure there was some activities that happened back in the day. The town itself was a pretty booming town back in the day. They had 500 people in town and different businesses. And, they had a billiard, they had granaries, they had restaurants, hotels. So a pretty big town back in the day. And then now there's 170 people and only just a few things in town that's still running.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that history. I know when we were digging into that history, we just thought that just the location itself was so unique. Everybody was saying it was such a long drive to get out there, especially from where we're at in Southeast Wisconsin, kind of in the middle of nowhere. But the fact that you bring it, that it's, right near a reservation line is is pretty poignant because there's a lot of things that a lot of claims that are made on properties that are built on or near these types of locations. So as far as the house goes, you've had it since 2018, you said. So, I guess how many people have you kind of had go through it, and I guess start with some claims that maybe you've experienced yourself with your team, and then just some other claims that other teams or people that have spent the night there, because it's essentially an Airbnb, correct? So it's not just
Right. Yeah,
just
we're kind of marketed at, that with a twist, having the paranormal experience as well. Um, but yeah, we've probably had, I would say, at least 200, if not more people in the house as well. I personally have like audibly heard voices. I've heard, I was cleaning a shelf one time and my friend Teresa, who's a part of my team, she was in the kitchen organizing. So we were getting projects done. And all of a sudden I heard like this electronic-y type voice come through. I didn't quite understand what it said, but as soon as I said that, I said to Teresa, I just yelled down the hall, I like, what'd you say? And she's like, I didn't say anything. And she said, I thought you said leave it. And I said, no, but I was picking up Minnie's fern. So we heard she liked ferns. And so I was picking it up and dusting it. And I was just wanting, I think the leave it was she didn't want me to pick up the shelf. But yeah, I've heard children's voices, women's voices. I've heard banging footsteps. I've been touched. Um, my husband's actually seen an apparition on the stairwell.
Hmm.
He was coming in through the front door, and as he just kind of happened to look up, and at the top of the stairwell was a woman. He said, kind of wearing white, long brown hair, looked in her 20s. He said, for a split second, I thought it was you, but then I kind of looked away and looked back, and she was gone. And then I realized that what he had actually seen. But we've had other teams. I actually see shadow figures, apparitions. We get a lot of equipment interaction, a lot of touching. A lot of people feel like, especially when they're sleeping, they'll get the blankets tugged on or their hair brushed. So just a lot of different activity that happens in the house.
Interesting. I have a question for you, Jill. When you're in the house, when we were there, you have a lot of pictures around the house of the family and the different places around town. Do you know if like the general store that he ran, is that still a building that's in town, or is that something that's long gone?
Oh no, that's still in town. That's
It
if
is.
crazy enough that this small town has a strip club. So poor Fred store is now
Write that down, Rob. We missed that strip club.
yes,
No.
that is the strip club.
See,
So
we
I
could
would
have.
Really? Okay. And where's that
It would have been research.
and you guys
Well-
said there was nothing to do there.
yeah. Where's that building from where the house is? I know the town isn't very big, but not because I
Yeah.
want to go there. I'm just
So
curious
yeah,
to
Yeah,
the location.
right.
yeah. Our house is right. Basically, it's kitty corner, so you can just walk across the street,
Oh, okay.
and you're in town. And so back in the day, you can see
Hmm.
how close we were to town, how close he was to his store.
Right.
We were actually one of the first houses that actually had plumbing in that
Okay.
town as well, so,
Okay.
or plumbing. So yeah, it's the house has just got a lot of history too. So
Yeah, it's nice. That's the first thing we said when we walked in. We were like, "Man, this is nice. This is it's." We really enjoyed uh, being there from the minute we got there to the minute we left. So I was just curious about that because of all the pictures, and then I was just curious if that being that I'm sure he spent a lot of time there as well. That I wonder if there's activity going on at that location,
yeah,
paranormal activity.
yeah, they don't like to talk
Yeah.
about it over there in town. So
Yeah,
I've heard other people ask about it, and
really.
they don't want nothing to do with it over there at the club. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
Bill, I have a question for you now, and it's fine if you haven't, because it'll actually make it more phenomenal. You didn't happen to listen to the episode that we did on the Boyd House, did you?
no,
Okay, perfect. I
I have a question also. So go ahead and ask your question and then I'll wait and
No, Is it? I just wanted to
Okay.
verify that before we go into some personal stories that I'm going to have someone share here.
I kind of thought that's where you were going. I wanted to ask a question real quick because I know that you in a different interview that you'd done, you talked about bringing in antiques and dolls that may have had spirits attached to them. And I think that is really interesting and cool that you would bring that into the Boyd House. Have you had many teams actually have experiences with some of those items? Or is most of the activity more related to the family and the people that have lived in the house?
I think you get a little bit of both. We do have quite a bit of activity. Like one of our dolls' names is Lisa, and a couple people have gotten EVPs of "My name is Lisa."
Hmm,
So
interesting.
so that's interesting that, we would get that. I can't verify the validity of the supposedly haunted objects that I purchase, but we do have a couple dolls. One of them was like in a psychic research center.
Hmm.
I've seen her move. Other people have seen her move. So we've had that common denominator, and I'm sure you're aware of that one supposed haunted painting that we
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
have
Yep.
that, woman, she had actually found that on the side of the road, and it was like set up almost like the way the picture was, which is that weird, creepy picture with the monkey and some red chairs next to a tree.
Huh?
Hmm.
That's pretty much how she found it on a red chairs next to a tree. Her husband didn't take the
Really?
her husband's never didn't take the chairs, and they always regretted not taking the chairs, but when she got it home, she didn't really like it because she always felt like something was staring at her. And that story that's written around the frame, she always felt like she would summon something if she read it because you have to read it um, and turn the picture. So she didn't like the picture at all. But her husband became extremely obsessed with the painting, and then he had committed suicide in front of that painting as well. So she didn't want anything to do with it. So we took it. Ironically, since I hung that up, and I haven't ruled it out as a real problem versus a paranormal problem, but it was weird because after I hung it up, I no longer have power to that room. So that's just
Hmm.
kind of a weird coincidence. And again, I haven't had an electrician out to figure it out, but then I figure, paranormal people do it in the dark anyway, so what's the point of fixing
Yeah.
that? So
One room, yeah, right.
I really like that you had the stories available. Also like that you had the binder. When you first walked in the little walkway there, you could read about the history. You also had a DVD available that kind of had information about the Boyd House and the history, and you had the devices available for people who didn't have their own devices. It's almost like a little school of the paranormal, and it kind of walks you right through everything. And I think that's great for people who are interested in ghost hunting and paranormal and all those things. So I was really impressed by that.
oh, thank you. Yeah. And then we still learn more stuff. Like I actually just got contacted by the Eckert's first great granddaughter.
Hmm.
She's been telling me stories and sending me photos. We've got new photos of the
Nice.
family. So yeah, and then just to kind of learn a little bit more about the personal things that you're never going to find written down was really nice to hear. So
Right. Right.
uh, we've added that to the collection, and and I like providing, a little bit. It's the basic, paranormal equipment for people. But we're open to anybody coming, and as you know, if you're not an investigator, you sometimes don't know that something's around you if you don't have those tools. And so, for the average person, sitting around in the dark all night would be like, nothing's happening. But at least now they can tell that something's happening, and they can get that experience. So yeah, we're happy to be able to provide that for our people that come.
That's awesome. And I definitely at the end of the show want you to plug that again that you have this Airbnb, and we'll definitely be putting it out on our Facebook page. I know we have more questions, but I wanted to go a little bit into some of the things that you had said, Jill, with regards to experiences that you had and other people had had, especially um, while they sleep. So, Amy, I'm going to put you on the spot here to share your story with Jill. And for those of you that are listening again, we talked about this in our episode when we released the Boyd investigation. After this episode goes out, at the same time, we're going to be putting all of our evidence in a reel for people to be able to listen to and take a look at. So, Amy, I'll turn that over to you now.
All right, thanks. Hi. Well, I usually go into these places. I'm pretty much a super skeptic, right? Like, I mean, it has to pretty much, I have to see a ghost and it has to tap me on the shoulder and go, hey, I'm a ghost. I am very skeptical and I'm not really afraid to do anything because I don't think anything's going to happen, right? But I did have an experience the first night while I was sleeping. I was sleeping on a cot, and Rob and I were basically like two different cots, but head to head sleeping. And Jenny and Rich were on the other side of the room. And I am not sure if I was awake. I'm not sure if I was sleeping. I don't know what it was, but I felt that something was sitting on my back. I was sleeping on my stomach. And I was being dragged under something. I was being dragged, and something was sitting on me. I could feel hands around my ankles. I was trying to call out, and I couldn't call out. I could see the room. It didn't look unusual. It didn't look like when you're sleeping and you have a dream about the room. It was the room. I was awake. I feel like I was awake. And so I think I either woke up or it stopped or whatever for a few minutes, and then it happened right away again. And I mean, it freaked me out. I was not okay. And yeah, it was weird. I was uneasy the whole next day. Oh, and then the last thing was I felt a cat walk across my chest. And actually that made me feel a little better. And at home we do have cats, and that's a common thing while we're sleeping, right? But I don't know. It was weird. I hated it. The next day I was tired and freaked out. I finally was able to wake my husband up because I was trying to like yell out and I couldn't. And he could tell I was upset. And then the next day I think everyone could tell I was upset. And I am never upset about that stuff. Like, I can't begin to say how I really don't freak out easy. I don't let these things get ahead of me. Like, I don't overthink anything, but it made me very uncomfortable.
And what room were you sleeping in?
I think we were in the green room downstairs, like the living room, front room area.
Okay, yeah, we call that the parlor area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were kind of straddling like where the TV is in the middle. Rob and Amy were on one side of it, and Jenny and we were over by the piano on that side. So Amy would have been furthest to the green room, furthest towards the couch, I think.
Yeah, and I know the first time that I stayed there overnight was with my friend Donna, and we didn't have anything in the house yet, no furniture, so we had air mattresses down in that, like in between the parlor and the peach room there. And she felt her footsteps come down the stairs, and then she felt something crawl into bed with her, and that was the first night that we stayed there too. So I've had other guests as well say that they felt something. One guy was brave enough, I don't know why, but he slept in the basement. And he said that, yeah, something woke him up because they were like, climbing on the air mattress, like on top of him. He said, like, he could feel them on top of him. So yeah, again, another experience that other people have had as well.
Yeah. And I mean, the pressure on my back, it was like an elephant sitting on me, and I could clearly feel hands around my ankles. Felt like I was being dragged. Like, I almost felt like I was underwater trying to fight my way up to the surface. I don't know how else to describe it. Yeah. It was unsettling, to say the least.
It was interesting too. You mentioned the cat, because we've had several people bring up the cat, and I've actually heard people have like EVPs of cats meowing as well. So yeah, it's just a lot of people with different cat experiences.
For some reason with the cat, I almost felt like some of the fear was lifted. I don't know what that was. Maybe because, like I said, we do have cats at home, and maybe that was some, familiarity of it. But that was like the last thing I felt was the cat walking across me.
Yeah.
Maybe the cat was being protective. I think we brought that up last time, because I think everything kind of subsided once that happened, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Yeah.
And so we took a lot of evidence away from that time frame with recorders and I know that we'll get into some of that evidence, but you can definitely sense a time where Amy is rustling and struggling. You can hear her discomfort. So it is a very strange piece of evidence.
I would agree.
Not as strange as the British person who showed up. Oh wait, Jenny, that was just you.
Still don't know how that happened.
Jill, what happened was, and we were trying to go over this evidence that we thought was an EVP, and we had like the whole team working on it. This was like hours and hours of reviewing the same like couple minutes of audio, and we had to marry it with the video that we have in our cameras also have like they record as well, so they also have sound. So we kind of have backup there. And it sounded like somebody with a British accent talking, and we thought it was an EVP of a British ghost, but it was just Jenny. Apparently, when she wakes up, we were able to corroborate that it was her talking in the middle of the night. It was not an EVP, and she some reason had a British accent.
I have no idea how that happened. I still, to this day, I don't understand that.
Well, interesting enough, though, I have caught a British accent EVP before.
You were possessed.
Stop.
It was just Jenny.
It was me. I was hiding in the closet. No, I even said when we first heard it, and I'm like, well, it sounds like something I would say, because I was on a cot and I was uncomfortable and I was having allergies. Like, there were animals in the house. I was sneezing and tossing and turning, and I stood up and I said, I can't sleep like that, but I said it in a very strange way.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was very, it was very Liverpool. It was very, it was funny.
Yeah, so we debunked that one.
Yeah, we were able to debunk that, but it was like hours. It was just painstaking hours of like 7 different people.
But until we had the video,
yeah,
to marry it up, then that squashed it right away. Because before that, I mean, we could sit here all day and go, it has to be that, but we don't want to guess, right? We want to be sure when we're doing this stuff. So I mean, that was great having the camera to back it up. As much as we didn't want to believe that that's what it was, it definitely was Jenny and myself whispering.
Rob, I think you guys were all down in the basement playing some games, correct? With spirits. So they decided to. So Rich got a deck of TRPD cards, the Realm Paranormal Detectives. I almost said Racine, the Realm Paranormal Detectives. And he got some playing cards, took them there, and they decided they were going to play some card games with Spirit and see what happens. And you guys, I'll let you tell the story. Whoever wants to tell it, I'm pretty sure it was the 4 of you were down there, right?
Go ahead, Rob.
Well, there was 4 of us, and I can't remember all of it, but we did get quite a few different reactions. And I'd already, there it is. Close that picture. So at one time, pretty close together. But were you in the room when we got what we got with the monster?
No, we were gone already at that point. But remember when we first sat down and we started playing blackjack?
Right.
The blackjack
did
game was
she win
interesting.
one time?
It was my favorite memory, being at the Boyd house. We were playing, and we had a chair open, and we were playing that person's hand and going around and going around, and we had an Ovilus.
As many, because we read that many like to gamble.
Mm-hmm. And we would go around and around, and she did win. And the Ovilus, I'm trying to remember exactly the order of how things played out, but the Ovilus was a word representing that she was excited and she was happy that she had won, which we were all very shocked by. And it was all a very fun activity. There was no fear involved in this. We were having a great time laughing and you won. And it came through very clearly that she was happy that she had won. And then shortly after that, I had said, you know what, I'm really tired. Why don't you say we go up and go to bed or whatever to Rich? And he says, yeah. And the Avulus immediately came back saying, off you go. And it was the timing of it was just uncanny. And it was a really fun memory because we were having fun playing cards, and when she won, she was happy. And when we were going to leave, she said goodbye. So it was really cool.
And so after, well, I don't
Yes,
know, we
Richard.
played a few hands. Jenny and Rich went to bed. Me and Amy stayed down there. Now, remember we kept thinking we were hearing noises over in the corner? Did we already find that back room at that time?
Yeah. We had found it earlier that day because I had left my recorder down there when we left for the day to go to lunch, which I forgot about until I was listening to it and
Right, because I don't
had
think I
voices
knew
on it.
about it till later on. But nonetheless, so, and also we had an experience where we were all sitting down there and one of the members walked over from, I don't know, where base camp was in the kitchen and went to the stairwell, and we swore somebody was coming down the stairs. But we debunked that too as well. So anyways, on our
What was it?
it was
Brian,
Brian.
up the stairs.
Brian?
Yeah, he walked pretty much overhead, but everybody was sure the door opened and somebody came down the stairs, but it was Brian. Nonetheless, pretty close proximity after everybody had left and after having a couple scares and whatnot with Brian's footsteps, we got 3 separate recordings or blurbs, whatever you would like to call them. A monster, open the door, and hide now. So Rich had brought up also earlier today about how he had seen in the guest book that he had found something not exactly the same, but a few that kind of went together about running and hiding.
Yep. There was one that as I was getting ready to write our little spiel, I was reading back and I was reading out loud to Brian and stuff just to see, what everybody had. And I came across one that stood out to me and it said that they heard this. It wasn't an EVP. They said they heard it with their ears. So a disembodied voice say, run away fast. And they were down in the basement by the blackjack table is what they said. So when I heard that, I couldn't remember what we had gotten on the Ovulus. But all of a sudden I circled it because I was like, somehow that rings a bell that Rob and Amy had something like that come up when they were downstairs, but I couldn't remember what the exact wording was. So
Right. Unfortunately, there was no monster. Nothing opened a door, but it was a little creepy at that time, especially with us down there late at night. But yeah,
I would have slept down there. After thinking about it, I would have slept down there.
I would have had more of a difficult time sleeping in the master bedroom. I had some really creepy feelings, very, very odd sensations being in the room and on the bed. I really did not feel welcomed there. I would have rather have slept in the basement, I think.
I think you might have even mentioned that like right away on the recorder. 'Cause
I did right away. And it was really strange because I hadn't been feeling that anywhere else in the house.
Yeah, that might have been when you had the Ovulus too, and you got something about the
door.
sleep cult, but you got something on it earlier with that too when you
Sleep
guys
attack. We had sleep attack.
Yeah, that happened earlier in the day, and that was before Amy's experience.
right. That was
The
before.
night before,
Yeah, so that was kind of an interesting pairing with those two things. But yeah, I think you mentioned that, Jenny, right away when you walked in. You're like, "Oh, I don't like this room. I don't feel very."
It was really bizarre.
So, Jill, up to this point, what do you think of the team's experiences so far and how it's compared to other teams and your own experiences?
Very similar to a lot of the stories I hear from people. So, like I know, the main bedroom. We've come to an understanding now, so I sleep there just fine. But before, I would have that. You'd walk by and you just kind of had that don't even come in here feel.
Mhm.
So, but a lot of people get that. A lot of people aren't really welcome. They don't sleep really well in there. They get equipment interaction. Um, I was told by a psychic because I spend a lot of time with the spirits and talk to them just as I conversate with you. That they like me. Minnie likes me. She likes that I clean and take care of the house. So when I'm sleeping, I was told she protects me. So I think that's why I sleep really good there. I don't have a problem, but most other people do not have that that luxury. So yeah, even when my friends stay over, they get bothered all night. My husband just barely sleeps when he's there. He's like, "There's so
Mm.
many noises and so many things going on," and he's even woken up and seen a figure standing at the end of the bed.
Mm.
And he woke up because he heard his name being yelled at, so he thought I was
Mm.
calling out for him, and he kinda opened his eyes, saw the figure at the end of the bed, it was just dark, but then he looked over and saw I was still sleeping, so then he knew it wasn't me.
Mm.
So, Rich,
Yes.
do you want to, without giving everything away, which Jill, we're going to send you over a copy of everything before it's released, but just so we don't do like a full spoiler alert on everything that we have, do you want to give a few highlights of some of the more
Sure.
interesting things that we found on the evidence?
Sure. So far, what I have, I'll just give you bullet points of what we have. Got a lot of different, lot of whispering. Um, I threw out a lot of stuff that could have been us. So the stuff that I did save, um, is stuff that piqued my interest of doesn't fit the room, doesn't fit what's going on, the acoustics of it, things like that. We've got, we did catch a couple names so far that we've heard and EVPs. We caught a Jackson and a Bella. I don't know if those are relevant to anything, but we did catch those two so far. We heard, we didn't hear with our ears. These are all EVPs. I have, while we're all sleeping, I have, sounds like a little kid saying mama. And then the next day, when we're all awake and we're all talking and everything, I have another one, kid's voice saying mommy. And that recorder was on the roll top desk in the hallway between the kitchen and the front door there. And it stayed there most of the time, except for when I moved it to the basement when we were gone, but it stayed in there. So you could tell the distance from the recorder from where we were sitting. And it definitely sounded like it might have been coming like from the stairway because it was really close. It sounded like it was a lot closer to the recorder than where we were sitting. When you listen back on video, it's hard to, you can hear it, but you can't tell where it's coming from. We got some music playing, females laughing and giggling. There was at one point I heard some like a dragging sound, not a dragon, dragging sound, or a squeal or noise. I'm the only one that heard it, but I have it on the recorder and I don't know what it was. We were in the kitchen at the time. It was the only time I had heard that. And a lot of these things that I have, these were the only times we were there for, we were there Friday night, all day Saturday, and then we left Sunday. We were there for 2 days, say. And a lot of these isn't like we heard it all the time. We could tell like when the heat was going to kick on, you could hear the vent making, you could hear the popping and creak, you could hear all that. So after a while, you picked up on that and you know what those noises are. But some of these were just one time thing where we caught something. But it seems like there's a lot of kids, a lot of kid voices so far that I have. And I'm gonna bet that I have a lot more on another recorder that I have that we had in the girls in the room at the dollhouse. Video wise, I think we caught we had a good orb that we're debating on that was in the master bedroom that acts really weird. We're debating on what that could have been, and we have our body cam footage from the basement when we were playing blackjack when Minnie had to split her cards and had the double blackjack, and then was so excited she exclamation point yes on the Ovulus immediately, and we thought that was cool. That was like the
Yeah,
best
that
thing.
was
That
what
was
it
really cool.
was. It
The
was
look
the
on Rob's face when it
uppercase.
happens is priceless. So
Uppercase, big exclamation point. She was very
that
happy
was
about that.
that was pretty cool when that happened because there was no delay. It was immediately, and we were like, "Whoa, that was cool." So, and I think we caught different things in different parts of the house, so it wasn't like it was only one area. But I do have a little bit more to go through before we release anything. So, it's just a lot to go through. We had a lot of recorders and a lot of cameras. Not a lot of video stuff so far that I found, but it's come in handy for double checking and helping us find out what something else was. So it's come in handy. So
Have you gotten to any video of the one where you're sleeping with the mama sound with that EVP? Have you?
the first one when we were all sleeping, no, I did not. I can check that one.
All right, because that one, I have my thoughts, but the one piece of the stuff that you had sent over on that second recorder with the music while you guys are sleeping, that one was interesting because it's very clear that it sounds like a little quick piece of music, but it's definitely not the music box either. That you know what I mean? It wasn't that. So that was the only thing that it could have been a phone with a notification. But if everybody knows that they don't have that, I don't see. That one was weird because that was a definite. You couldn't miss it.
Nobody had any phones on Audible for any type of notifications. Everybody was silent. I know that for sure because when Rob's would go off, it'd be a light that would go on. There was no sound coming out of Rob's. I know mine. I didn't have anything. And most of the time we were there when we were investigating, we had our phones in airplane mode. So
yeah, that's why that one really that stands out because it's not a ding diddling ding ding. It's not. It's more of a boom boom. Like you really can. It's just a quick thing, but it's pretty clear and it's.
And here's the thing. Like I said before, that's the only time it happened so far that listening for hours and hours and hours. Hours on end.
You take how many cameras we have times, 36, 40 hours. And,
right.
That's a lot of evidence.
And those are kind of the things like I was saying, I throw a lot. If I would have heard that 4 more times, I probably would have threw it away because it's got to be something. It's got to be us. But when I don't hear it, then that's when I have to. That's why we work as well as we do as a group. Because then we have to bounce it off each other and figure it out, And if there's
what recorder was that? Where was that recorder at?
That one was. Which one is that? Where's the one with the music? I'm looking here.
I think it's Boyd.
That was Boyd 2. That would have been. Which one is that? I think that is the one on the end where in the green room where Amy was sleeping. I believe that's that one. So
there was that little wind-up music box in that room
upstairs,
with the chairs.
Yep.
So I'm really excited to hear about the new place too. I hope we have time to talk about.
Yeah, we're getting ready to go. We're definitely getting ready to go into that because I want to make sure that she has an opportunity to do that. But when they talk about the music box, Jill, just so you know, they Rich has a piece of equipment that has a sensor. So when something's blocking the sensor, the music box will just play until something moves out of the field of the sensor.
Yeah, we have one too. They really like that.
Yes. So it's you're probably familiar with it because you have a lot of things. But I definitely want to give you an opportunity to talk about your other property and but if you have any questions for us on the investigation, please let us know. You go ahead and ask us right now. Otherwise, we'd love to hear more about your newest property that you have.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys had a great night at Boyd, so I'm really excited to see your video and stuff.
We were actually there 2 nights.
Yeah, it was 2 nights and it was great. It was fun. It was interesting.
Yeah, I always love hearing what other people get because not everybody shares out the video, so I got to search them for myself or just.
Well, we'll make sure you get to see it.
Yeah, we'll definitely give you a copy of everything we have, so you'll have it.
Looking forward to it.
So tell us about this new place.
Well, you're always looking for something else to do. So So I always kind of wanted to try a little bit bigger building just to see. We did a lot of restoration with the Boyd House, and we had to do the roof, and we did a lot of the interior and stuff. So it's kind of been holding its own at this point. So I kind of was looking for something bigger to try. I was not really planning on it being in the state of Illinois, but I came across this Masonic lodge that was built in 1861 that came up for sale. So I kind of just saw it and had to have it. So
Have you had many investigators go through? Is it ready? Are you still working on it?
we're starting to let people in starting May 1st. So we have quite a few reservations made already. I myself have only been there 4 times for investigating, and I've had activity both times that I've been there. I think my favorite story that I have so far about Lodge is we were just 3 of us were like in the main dining room, and Teresa was in the kitchen, and she was just kind of making a sandwich, get stuff to eat. And then all of a sudden, I heard this loud bam, and I was like, "Did she just knock the cooler on the floor?" Like that was how loud it was, and that is the only thing I could think that would have come from the kitchen. She comes bolting through the door, and she's like, "Oh my God, something just dropped something behind me." So then we went in. Obviously there's nothing there. Ended up kind of just opening a cupboard door and slamming it, and saying, and they were like, "That's the sound we heard." And then we went back into the other room and then made that same sound. So we determined that was the exact sound that we heard. And then later doing an Estes session, we had a spirit come through that said it was Harold, who likes to open and close doors and slam things and play jokes. So we're learning just the tip of the iceberg on everything here, but we have had some crazy Estes sessions, tons of equipment interaction, lots of EVPs. So yeah, for just being there 4 times, we have gotten so much stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else we capture, what everybody else gets while they're there. So it's been fun.
Is it going to be set up similar to the Boyd House, where it's like a bed and breakfast, and kind of similar with having the equipment there for people to use, or is it going to be a different experience?
This one will be a little bit different just because it is a lodge, so we're not going to, add beds and things like that. We're going to kind of restore it back and keep it, try as much as we can as a Masonic lodge. Right now, it's real primitive because we do not have any running water, electric, or anything like that in there. Those are things we're going to add as amenities as we move along. And again, by having people stay there, that helps with some of the renovations. So right now, we need to restore the roof. We need some window restoration. And I kind of feel like some of the other stuff like electric and water and stuff is more of a cool amenity to have, but not a necessity to investigate. But I do kind of like the fact that not having any power at the building, that when a lot of my EMF type devices are going off, I'm a little bit more assured that
Yeah.
it's paranormal versus electrical.
Right.
We did get a China hutch, and then I was donated a bunch of Masonic items, different books, clothing items, things like that. So I put them all in the China hutch with a K2 meter. I stuck it in there, and later on, I found it going. I didn't see it; it just was on film. It was going all the way to the red, going all the way to the red. So just to have that, go off. We have the trip wires; they'll go off quite often. We put those around the altar, areas, stairwells. Um, we've had events of children being there, so I brought a bunch of toys and I put like an EMF lantern, and that was going off. So again, no power in the building, so that makes me more reassured that
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
these things. And we also at the same time that EMF lantern was going off with toys, we got a kid's voice saying, "You got dolls,"
Oh,
because we had brought some dolls and different
hmm.
other items. So yeah, we're just kind of learning a lot about it. I do know that they actually started building it in 1858, but then they halted because they didn't have enough money. So 1861 was when it was finally completed, and it was the second building that was ever erected in that town. So quite a lot of history. I know it's always been a lodge; it's never been anything other than that. So yeah, it's just got just quite a lot of history, and we're gonna start developing into a little bit more of what actually happened there.
So did you buy it knowing it was haunted, or did you buy it taking a chance that there was going to be some paranormal activity there?
Well, I kinda not saying I'm psychic, but I do kinda can get a feel for certain things, same with
Sure.
Boyd. like I knew it was the one.
Yeah. Yep.
Did go out there, same with Boyd. We did investigate it before I purchased it. I did it, but you're only there for like 2 hours. It's middle of the day. Nobody's been there. So it's like,
Right.
oh, what do I do? Like, what do I take my chances on? We did get like 4 EVPs while I was there. So I was pretty confident.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
And then we didn't get any equipment interaction, and really nothing on the spirit box. Although when I ran it, it was zero. It was like dead. And then when my husband walked in the room, I said, "Here, you talk." And you could hear a few things, but I could never make it out. But they were more willing to speak with him as he was a male,
Hmm.
as a female.
Okay.
But as we've come forward too, we've had the locals in town come forward and tell us stories. We had one woman said that she had come into the building and she had walked through the dining room and there was a woman on her hands and knees and she was scrubbing the floor. Well, and then she just kind of looked at her, smiled, walked into the kitchen, talked to ladies in the kitchen, and said, and she's like, "Well, who's out there scrubbing the floor?" And they're like, "There's nobody out there
Mm.
scrubbing the floor." So then, of course, they go out there, and then there's nobody out there scrubbing the floor. So it's got a history of different hauntings and stuff.
Cool.
I've seen lights and things come on when there's no power there.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
So
So the question I have then, I guess, for people that are listening that would want to go there to investigate, um, what is there any source of electricity to be able to plug in things like if you have cameras with a DVR system, or would you need to be able to make arrangements? I know, like, we draw power off of a vehicle with the right converter, but what is your suggestion for teams that have that type of equipment that would need electricity?
they have to find some sort of backup. We usually, in those situations, we have cameras that run on batteries. We don't use the DVR system. We have like the high eights and the HD camcorders. So we rely on that. We bring like our own little lanterns. We bring power boxes and things to run our things that we need to run. So that's what people have to do until we get the electricity up and running.
Yeah, sure. That's good to know. And then close by, I think when we had talked before, you said there's places close by to eat, use the restroom, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Or
we do provide a porta potty
okay,
for people just because we don't have it. But yeah, right next door is a bar and grill which has amazing food. Um, and there's the Casey's gas station right behind us, and then
Oh,
there's yeah.
Hey,
So
I
you're all
love me Casey's. I
yeah.
love me
So
some
you're all
Casey's.
set. Like yeah, you got everything you need right there. So
What town is this in?
it's in Keysburg, Illinois. So
Okay,
more of like a southwest Illinois area. It's right outside Muscatine, Iowa. So we're about
okay, all right. So I guess how do you go about like finding haunted locations to buy? I
well.
asked that because I mean it's my dream to one day I own one. I would hope I mean our team would love to to own one. And so I mean I've Googled and I've looked, but is there a secret to your success?
No, like I said, I just kind of get that feel, because I'll just do because my realtors aren't like into haunted stuff at all.
Yeah,
So they know what I'm doing. I'm the one who finds what I want to look at. They just do the middleman part.
gotcha.
So I just kind of search for, like a certain time period, price range,
mm,
location. And then I kind of look at it. If I get the feel for it, then I'll go take a look at it and make sure it's structurally sound because yeah, I mean these locations are going to need work, but if it's about caving in, you don't want to deal with that.
Right.
But yeah, so and then I just do like mini investigations and if I get something and just hope for the best. So, when I first got Boyd, I wasn't 100% sure when I purchased it. But then, and I wasn't really getting anything in the beginning either. So I was like, oh boy, did I make a mistake here? But I, I remember one day talking to the children in the room and just said, hey, you guys, if you touch stuff like that, I'll bring you presents. People are also going to bring you presents. You're going to get lots of presents. You just got to touch something. Let us know you're here. And I had like a little REM bear. And then that night he went on and off for about 2 or 3 hours in the blue boys room, on and off. So then I was like,
yeah.
They heard me. So and
That's
they're
good.
I know every time I come there, I'm like, oh, look what you guys got now. Look at this neat little toy somebody left you. So,
Very cool. Rich, did you have any more questions for Jill?
Um,
I know you had a list full.
if there's a location you and your team have not done, what location would you guys want to do? That would be like your dream investigation. Is there a place you guys haven't been that you'd want to go? Like Gina had mentioned it to other people. We're going to Ireland next year, so I mean that's a big one for us that we're looking forward to, and that I would think that was right to the top of me. And that's a dream investigation, being able to
Yeah.
go check out a castle and whatever else is going on over there, with the elementals or any type of nature stuff. So is there a location that you and your team dream about doing?
yeah, that's very cool. You guys are doing that. I'd love to do a castle sometime, but well, we were pretty much state bound. So if I had to say that, I know on like my bucket list is the old South Pittsburgh Hospital over in Tennessee.
Nice.
I just kind of like a lot of the asylums, I myself work in surgery, so for me to go to these hospitals and asylums, I kind of have a real cool connection with that
Hmm.
and stuff. So anytime we get to do places like that are like my favorite places to go.
That's cool. Yeah, we haven't done anything like that. I think we've done a couple schools that we've done that were pretty cool. I as well would love to do some type of hospital or penitentiary or some type of location like that. I know we've talked about different ones that hopefully we can get a chance to do at some point. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
those are pretty awesome.
we have so much on our bucket list. I know my spouse and I went and did the West Virginia State Penitentiary, and that was a really cool experience. So, um, we all had investigated together in a different lifetime, not like literally in this lifetime, but we refer to it as a different lifetime. And then we kind of reconvened together on this podcast and then formed another paranormal team that was born out of the podcast a couple of years after we started the podcast. So
It's a
we're
super
really excited. We're like 1 year into our starting this as an investigation team. But the great thing is we've all investigated together except for Brian and Danny. Brian and his wife Danny, they're new to the group. So yeah, it's just we just have so much we want to do. I want to open up the floor. Does anybody else have questions for Jill before I have her, give her plugs on how to book and what she has to offer and how to book and tell us a little bit about her team?
I do. I have a question. So what's up with the Iron Maiden door knocker on the little room at the end of the hallway? I mean, nobody else was going to address the elephant in the middle of the room.
I forgot about them.
That's funny. Actually, yeah, my husband got that, and I wouldn't let him put it up in our house. He's a big Iron Maiden fan. But he's gonna love that somebody knew it. We actually had a bet because he put that up there. He's like, nobody's gonna know who that is. And then I put a little like mask on a bear, and I said, "We'll see who wins first. If somebody removes the mask off the bear, or somebody says this is Eddie from Iron Maiden." I won. It took a whole year.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was kind of funny. So yeah, I'll have to tell him that you knew who that was.
Yep, I recognized it right away, and I'm like, that's odd because everything's so period-esque for the time of that house, and then there was Eddie.
Yeah.
I took a picture of them.
Yeah,
I got a
I did
picture of them.
too.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
Come
No?
on.
Hearing
All right.
none, seeing none. Well, Jill, I'd love to turn it over to you for just a bit for you to just tell us a little bit about your team, if you'd like, anything that you want to highlight that you guys have done. I'd love to hear about how people tell people how they can book your locations, your Airbnb, and your newest place, which we are so in. We cannot wait to investigate that one.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, just tell us and anything you're working on, anything that you have worked on. We'd love to turn it over for you to tell us about it.
Yeah, like I said, our team's been together since 2010. So yeah, we've been all over the country, to the well-known haunted locations. Like some of my love Edinburgh Manor in Iowa is one of my favorite locations. We've done Waverly Hills. That was awesome.
Mm.
We didn't get a lot of activity there. We did catch some REM pod action on some cameras we left stationary. The body shoot was insane. But it was just cool to go visit, those types of locations, especially before, if they fall down or something. But yeah, just we're kind of busy. We as we've grown, everybody's lives changed, so we're not as able to get out as much. There was like one year where we like every month we would have a trip, sometimes twice a month. But now this year, we're just doing 2 trips this year. So we're doing one in the Glen Beulah School, and then a new place that just opened up called Fox Den, where there was a murder suicide in Iowa. So we
Oh.
have that book. So we're going to check.
Interesting.
We
check-
just did Glen Beulah in November.
Did
Yeah.
ya?
Yeah.
Did
That was
Yeah.
nice.
good?
And I've done Edinburgh Manor before, so I love that place. It was awesome.
Yeah, so just great locations. But as far as people, if they want to come stay at the Boyd House, our website is theboydhouse217.com. We let you have the location from 3 p.m. till noon the next day. So it gives you plenty of time to come in, set up, have dinner, and investigate and catch some sleep. So again, that's boydhouse217.com for information on that. And then the lodge, we do the same thing for investigation, 3 p.m. till noon the next day. And then that's at the haunted 1861 masonic.com. So that's got all your information there. Is a little bit of history. It's got our calendar available. Kind of talks about prices and any questions that you may have about it.
Excellent. And we'll make sure that we put those in the show notes. And this will be going on YouTube, so we'll make sure we have it in the show notes for YouTube as well. And then we will list the links and advertise it on our Facebook page as well, and Instagram, just to make sure we get the word out. I know that, I wasn't there, but the team seemed like they had an amazing time at the Boyd House. And in fact, Brian and I were back here in Racine, and we were actually doing a speaking engagement at a spiritual market in Kenosha. And we tapped in live with the team via Zoom while they were on the investigation there at the Boyd House. So it was very cool to have some people come and listen to the speaking engagement and be able to interact with the team live. I think you guys heard a couple noises while we were on there, and I think that there was some K2 hits while they were live, so that was pretty cool. So it was definitely a great time, I think, that they had. And we can't wait to get the evidence over to you. I just want to, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? I want to make sure that you have all the time to, I know we talked a lot about our stuff, so I want to make sure you have enough time to get everything out that you would like to talk about. Are you still doing your cable show that you talked about, or has that?
Well, just because we don't go around as much, but we still put it out on YouTube under our
Okay.
channel. So we kind of release a lot of our Boyd videos, and we do have a video out on the Masonic Lodge. So actually, it's, as we can claim it, the very first and only video out of the lodge. So that was pretty cool. We got some great EVPs and equipment interactions, great Estes sessions. So people can check that out on YouTube as well.
What's your YouTube channel handle?
It's the St. Croix Paranormal.
St. Croix Paranormal. Okay,
Yes.
excellent.
Yep, so we got a video on that. I'm just working on one we were in at the Boyd House in February, so that one's come along pretty good. So we got some good Estes sessions and stuff on that too. So people will be able to see that one pretty soon.
Fantastic. Well, that's super exciting. And we want to thank you so much for coming on here and talking to us and kind of validating some of the things. We wanted to hear what you had to say first about the claims, and that's why I wanted to make sure you hadn't heard or seen anything prior to this. But and then do you have any oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. One more question. You were featured on My Ghost Story. What can you tell us what episode is that it's on? So in case anybody wants to catch that, because I'd love to look it up.
Yeah, a lot of people have a hard time finding that one. So that was back in 2010, and it was called A Night with Monique.
Okay.
Was the storyline. It was kind of fun because it was one of the first businesses that we actually investigated. They had a lot of claims of paranormal activity. So we went down there to see what we could find. And the most interesting thing that we captured there on film was this shadow figure. We were upstairs, just Krista and I, and we were getting ready to run a spirit box session. And all of a sudden it got like ice cold. Like I have never felt cold like that before. Of course, we got the goosebumps. And then all of a sudden, we both kind of looked over towards the windows, and we were already up on the second floor. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning, so nobody's out. But we saw this black mass, but almost like a cloak figure go all across the way the windows were, and it moved very stroby like motion. It was really weird looking. And I just looked at her, and go, "Did you just see that?" And she's like, "I did just see that." And then we actually caught that on film as well, so that was kind of cool. That validating that we actually
Nice.
that on film as well. So
Excellent.
yeah,
And
so we
did you
submitted it.
submit that?
Yep, we submitted that, and I was like, and I used to tease people. I'm like, I'm gonna get on that show. They're like, you're not gonna get on that show. I'm like, I am. And I submitted that, and like 2 days later, they hit me back and they said, yeah, we want you guys on there. So it was really fun because they flew you out there, you know, and then you go into the studio and like they come out, they powder your face just like they do in the movies.
So fun.
You know, so
That's
you do
awesome.
the interview and stuff, and then you fly back home, and then they fly out, and then they film you. So you kind of feel like you're acting a little bit.
Yeah.
When you come back to the location. So it was just a lot of fun. You know, they paid for dinner that night and stuff. So, you know, it's just kind of a little fun perk. We just had a great time doing it. So
That's awesome.
That is
That's
neat.
super exciting. Well, again, thank you so much from our team to yours.
Thank you, Jill.
For everything, and we can't wait to get this this evidence over to you once we have it all wrapped up. So.
yeah,
And so for those of you again that are listening and watching, we will have the links to Jill's properties in the show notes and on the Facebook page. So we would love for you to fill her schedule up, fill that team's schedule up, help get that lodge restored, because I know that's where the money is going to be going to, which is a great cause to really preserve history and give a playground to those of us that are kind of in search of what else is out there besides what we see with our own eyes, right? So just trying to get answers in this big weird world. So with that, we will talk to everybody soon. Again, every other Monday, we have a full episode during our spring season. And then every other Wednesday, we have our Weird Weekly News episode. So thanks for joining us. And ciao, everybody. Stay weird.
Ciao.
All right.
Happy hunting.
You guys.